Welcome, Gerry Raven Traucht, to this sacred space here today. Thank you for joining me here today on the full moon. Gerry and I have known each other for a really long time, so for over 20 years at this point, which is really amazing. And he's somebody I respect and value and appreciate with all of my heart. He's been a big influence in my life, and I love you with all of my heart. So I just want to share and express my gratitude and appreciation to you for your connection and being in my life all these years. So thank you.
And the same here. It's just you're just an absolutely remarkable person and a very special dancer. Spectacular.
Thank you. G. Raven Traucht, Gerry, has some poems that he's going to share today that are activated messages, that are potent messages that are to be received with the body, with the cells, with the whole being. They're not words. When he speaks, they're words that penetrate beyond the mind. They penetrate beyond blocks. It goes within to the bones, and it reverberates through all timelines and dimensions. Feel into the frequencies and allow yourself to receive them through all parts of your being.
Words and music can be a summoning, and words are filled with colors and music and rhythms. I want to read the poem itself, as all the words are little dynamos that it was written at the passing of my grandmother, who surrounded herself with plants, her rosemary, her night phlox, her chrysanthemums, her flowering moses. And on the campus of the University of California, Berkeley, there's this old olive tree, and the roots are pushed up around it to form like a natural circular bench where I was able to sit, where this poem was written, a line of light. The evening rests most peacefully. Rosemary, night phlox, chrysanthemums, the aroma of honeysuckle and jasmine, your flowering Moses and Christmas. Tonight, I sit under the olive tree. Tonight, in the orange coral, orange violet, orange blue of the horizon. In the eastern sky, the moon is full. In the west, and the small gap between the night and the earth, your soul passes in a line of light. It reaches between worlds, and I've had a great loss in my life, and Her bright light began so many years ago. So many, many years. And now it also passes through that narrow line of light into another place. Look, her hair is beautiful tonight. Such dark curls, dark brown dancing eyes, glowing olive skin. Look how proudly she walks, such narrow feet. Her mother and grandmother, undoubtedly dancers, women of the medallion she wears against her dress, the medallion and its patina. He let fly from his hand a spray of pebbles, fast and without arc, aimed for the earth or the dream fire or whatever touches inanimate black dots when they touch down. But they did not touch down, but changed from stones to birds, arcing upward and outward, like a Chinese spray against the Greek sky, Oranos over Gaia going up, until in the distance their flight defined his face, and his face was a face of birds. There is a poem that, as I looked at this painting of this pheasant with the red eye and this very phosphorus, the words all spring from what I saw before me. It's called Eye of the Pheasant at Twilight. Panthers climb down from the moon. Orangutan slothed in a tree. A pheasant stands by water, imagining its tail is a stream. Night is a gold aurora borealis. Eel leaps like a fish in the air. Phosphorus boulders, poinsettia leaves, iridescent, grow like moss in the clouds. The night is smoke gray and gold, and all trace of red, twilight, and eye of the pheasant glow. Strange horse. Pods of flowers, colored stones, coriander. Tentative movements, the sacredness of skin. Saffron, rosebuds, mica. Tethered chameleons, tethered souls. Upon the lake the mandrake floats, solid light, bearded goats. An idea grows to a spiral horn. Love has bred the unicorn. Can a body, which moves to music, move to thought? A physique, quicksilver, changeling, dances with its own illusion, dances its own profusion. Brain, heart, spirit, anima in love with animus, father, son, and goblin, hermaphrodite as femme fatale. By the water, love and passion meet. Strange horse in the wood. She lets down her hair. He, the mandrake root. There's a poem that I usually don't read at reading, but today I feel like reading it. It's called The Mountain Hawk. Once the eyes have found their sex and stretched straight from their favorite bush to the higher briar rose, and by chance glimpse the mountain hawk, there is no turning. Each push of blood and dream is ruled by that wind-held belly and those all-possessing, incomprehensible wings. The eyes, fixed forever, carry the legs into the foothills, ascend the mountain, ascend the horn, climb to the hawk's peak and the hawk's nest, willingly stand in that eclipsing shadow, those deft encircling wings. And though the mountain hawk can pick the snake out of the owl's mouth and put it back, one longs for her sudden plunge, the ivory talons and the beat of wings.
Thank you for sharing those poems. They were potent. And I love the way that it flowed together. The line of light really activated the emotion, brought tears to my eyes, and I felt it viscerally in my heart, in my emotion, and then I felt it reverberate out through me. And then it flowed through this healing where it brought it to the poem that you said that you normally don't share about the hawk. So it's like the warrior spirit bird. So I loved how the poems went from this bringing up of the motion and the wounds and the pain and the grief and the trauma that's all living present with our lives right now, right? And what we've experienced. And then you carried us through words on this potent journey through elevating it to the point of the warrior spirit. I just love how your poems naturally flowed through that. That was really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is there anything you would like to share about that last sequence of words before we move to the next?
There's always a search to find words that, as I look back on my journey as a poet, I became more and more conscious as the years passed that I was doing a summoning, searching for a summoning, an awakening, and it's just and there's color and magic and music and drumming in words that can awaken and incite and move things forward. And every now and then, a poem gets lucky enough where like the mountain hawk can speak to you, where it can and one never knows which words will trigger what. It's like a box of keys, and every now and it can work for you, or maybe work for that person, and there's many of us have felt that we have a lover waiting for us, maybe from even before we're born. And as we go through this reality, we more and more we all seem to be on a search for this mysterious lover who is waiting. There's actually a poem that I've never read that I can try it and see if this works. That there were three images that have been important to us. By us, I mean Ellie. Well, I was lucky enough to, when I was traveling across Canada on my first cross-country journey, I was looking for adventures and love and just new experiences. And at Toronto Rock Festival, one of the early rock festivals, I was swept up by a 16-year-old who snared me. I had no idea that I was going to be caught. I thought I was going to be doing the catching. And we spent the next 50 or so years together. This is called three images that are very important in her art in particular: the butterfly, the dog, and the flower, particularly the hibiscus. But this is called Butterfly. Man-child awakes. So many of the poems that I look back from are about awakening. Man-child awakes with a pearl string of days. His queen has been waiting. Her sails in the wind. The radiance he sees is the love of his queen. From a cocoon he emerges with butterfly wings. Changed. Through waking he is changed. Through waking, he is changed. Is it a dream? Wonders the queen. Is he here? I've waited. Does he see me? A butterfly caresses her eyes, alights on her lips, swims in her lake, circles her hips. Sweet queen, a butterfly circles your hips, circles your hips, circles your hips, circles your hips. The king awakes, wild dreams poured into light, his wings beating in butterfly flight. Change, through waking he's changed, change, change. Through waking he is changed.
When did you write that piece?
1997. That's I think it was about a time that the butterfly became more and more one of our images. What's interesting that so much of our images were triggered one or the other. You know, it's just she was probably first to the butterfly, and then I. And colors. Her work was all about colors, but then my words are all about colors.
Mm-hmm. So I know whom you're speaking of, and I'm curious if you would like to share any information about the love of your life and that beautiful work of art behind you.
It's so hard to speak of her and without my voice cracking and coming apart.
It's okay if you don't feel ready to. However, I do want to support you in this being a sacred container and you being held in love.
So I was already a poet and a high school teacher at the time. On my summer vacation, I was and a grad student as well, I guess, at that time. Traveling, I stumbled across one of their early rock concerts in 1969, and it opened with some of the old time rock and rollers, Chuck Berry. Like so many of the great black musicians, you know, he was out of favor at the time, so they opened him up at like 10 a.m. in the morning with the sun shining bright, and instead of headlining it, and it closed with Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and I guess the spinning wheel became one of our songs, and the spinning wheel is the fates. They draw the thread out, they measure it and slice it off, and that's the length of your life. So here, half in shadows, half in light, was this amazing Ellie Fiddler. 16, about ready to turn 17, and I spotted this beautiful, beautiful girl by herself, away from the crowd. She had been separated from, I don't know, it was like preordained that to see such an amazing person by herself there. She was waiting for her girlfriend, who wandered off in search of boys. And as far as I know, her girlfriend is still searching. And just by standing there, Ellie found me. She didn't know her direction at that point in life. The two things that she had valued most in her life was a poet and a teacher, and by dumb luck, I was both of those. And it was pretty amazing. It's just by the next night, her parents had welcomed me into her house, and not too long after that, a few months later, they let me take her daughter on first a trip to the East Coast and then to the West Coast. And she wasn't sure what she was going to do with your life. You know, I was already a poet and a teacher, and she wasn't sure what she was going to do. I said, just come, you'll find it. And when we arrived in California, she immediately took to fiber art and weaving, first basket weaving and then rug hooking, and but one fiber thing after another. And in a short space of time, she became someone who had never woven before to a truly great weaver. Through the 70s, she soared into right at the top of the heap, that all the well-known weavers knew who she was, and she knew them. This tapestry behind me is 13 feet high and 10 foot wide. And she wove tapestries for TV Guide, for the Hyatt hotels, actually not for the Hyatt hotels, but for the owner of the Hyatt hotels. That when we passed through Chicago, I asked if they might be interested for a hotel, and Nicholas Pritzker, who answered the phone himself, usually the head of a corporation does, and I said, we were this tapestry, we were coming through, and he said, no, he didn't have any need for one of the hotels. That the one in Atlanta was already taken. They weren't do one of this, but stop by, I need one for my home. And he commissioned one for his home. He was just a marvelous family. So the Pritzkers, the Annenbergs, they all famous people in their own rights, and the Pritzkers actually have the Pritzker Prize in Architecture. Since there's no Nobel Prize in Architecture, the Pritzkers put up the Pritzker Prize in Architecture, and it's just so it was an honor for Nicholas Pritzker and his wife Susan to select this Ellie for tapestry in their home, and she ended up weaving tapestries 45 feet long, 6 feet a foot high. She's in the short space of time, from the beginning of the 70s to the end of the 70s, she took off like a skyrocket, and it dovetailed with where I had readings at the theaters and libraries in Toronto, and she as we traveled, her tapestries traveled from the West Coast to the East Coast. It was a marvelous life together. It's just wherever I had a poetry reading, I would have the chance to have a giant tapestry behind me. It's just, and you can see the dancing colors in there. And she was all about colors. She had 2 pots, dye pots on the stove all the time, and she measured the dyes out with pipettes so she could reproduce a hue of a hue, so that the very subtle colors in the tapestry, she could reproduce any one of those. She had over 800 colors, a recipe for them. And in the front room, she had 1 loom, and in the middle room, she had another loom and 2 dye pots on the stove, always checking the dye pots. And I think I would like to, a color that was very, very important to us was purple. That in the beginning, the dyes were earth tones. They, from vegetation, from leaves of plants and flowers. And so you had these muted yellows and muted greens and muted browns. That's just, and when purple came along, it was taken from a little drop of liquid at the crown of a spiral shelled sea whelk from these snails. That this was the first vibrant dye. So this is called purple. First color of interest, the Phoenicians, sailors of antiquity, first to find it. Spiral shelled whelks, first to lose it. From every coast and port, the world knew Phoenician purple. Great the demand, fast and brilliant the color. Greater than a man, cut with other dyes, honey and lichen. Greek scholars wrote formulae. imitation purple. Men wanted purple and got it, and gave purple presents to their women. Everyone saw his violet self in purple pools. Ah, Phoenician purple, honored even among thieves. And Agamemnon himself had a fine gown and a beautiful carpet, both of the genuine shellfish dye. He, perhaps as well as anyone, knew the value of purple. And of course, Agamemnon, in his royal purple robe, was stabbed to death by his wife's lover.
Interesting.
Yeah. His wife was the twin sister of Helen of Troy. Yeah. That's
So what is the significance then with, like, when you feel into this purple, like what is the significance, how, like what is the significance of purple in all of this? How, what is the importance of the purple, or what did it do when the purple came in? Like it activated something within you. You said it was an important color for you. So this color came into your life, and then what happened as a result of that color in your life?
Yeah, I've never been much moved by muted browns and muted greens, and it's just and then suddenly the vibrancy of purple is just it's a color of passion, a color of love, and it's just and suddenly to have this shocking, brilliant, deep color. What a gift to the world that was, where they no longer had to just admire it in nature; they could actually wear it and their shirts and clothes and their robes and their carpets, and it's just suddenly that you had this dye that could be reproduced. But yeah, it's purple is a symbol of passion and of love.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So it activated that passion and love and gave it like a vibrancy and an excitement to it that like elevated.
Which is what we were all about at that time. I mean, it's just we were just young and just absolutely excited by the world. Yeah.
This purple activation of passion, this activation of the heart brings us to where we are. And I'd like to share this video, and he's going to share some words over it. Feel in, imagine, and sense the violet flame, the purple fire that transmutes, transforms, that heals all, that can resolve all conflict. You bring the violet flame into the center of the heart so that it can activate passion, love, and the highest healing that you're ready to receive in this moment.
The lover. The fish sleeps in the mine, stilled in the hands of stalks of sea corn, forward and back in a lover's ballet. A board bow bent and hooked in a beam under lights from the Frechette in an Amarillo sea. We forget where we are. A sea chest opens and closes, a fish cradle of Caribbean satin, Caribbean gold. A fish cave under a thickness of green. All a distraction. We forget where we are in the order of things. Seahorse or sea cow. All sense of proportion, we forget. We are on a hill. There are others. They do not know your name as a charm. We are moved by a God 2/3 the world. We surrender. We forget. Something is happening as I touch you. You are changed and are changing. A stream wet and long in the belly of a ravine, and the path like a companion that follows it. A path barely kept open by the children who follow. I, who first ached the brown into the formless green, you will not come back to the firmament. I, a fiery servant, desire to come with you as my guardian, you who claim and are claimed, you who surrender. The sun is a fish of gold, more beautiful through a wall of green. clusters. Already the theater appears in the precursor's error, what can grow to itself before shoved out crop by progeny. From walker to passenger in plane or space, a fluid move. Everything necessitates everything. Nothing anticipates nothing. Where are we? Neither in the poems of birds nor the poems of women. Another borning, a creature the equal of itself. Conglomerate develops an affection for the maelstrom. Leviathan expectorates the saint. The days of carnage over. From the portal, cities turn quickly to countryside. Colors to color, images to image. The world recedes.
It was interesting how the words were weaving through, and there were points where they lined up, and there were things that you said that were right on with the movement and the expression of the movement. So it was interesting and very cool and creative how it overlapped like that. It had a certain texture that goes beyond just the movement, just the word, or just the sound or the movement, but it had that visual scenery in it. So it really activated and touched on a few different senses there.
That is an image that's always stayed with me right from the very beginning, that the universe began with a dancer. It's just that there's and out of the movement comes the word. It's just and then the music. It's just so that perhaps that's what Shiva is, a dancer. It's just so that it would be interesting to see after these years if we've actually touched upon something that works.
Yeah, interesting how technology might do that for us, actually. As we sort of round here towards this point, talking about like the activation of the heart and pure love frequency, and you sharing your poetry, your potent words, what else would you like to share here? Is there any messages or information that you have about your love, your experiences recently, your life, that you're feeling called to express and share?
It's at a very interesting point when someone who's been incredibly close to you throughout your life passes, that you suddenly begin to look back over every little thing, and you see that everything has a double and triple meaning. And I know when we wandered, every day we would wander by the lagoon where the birds are, and I would photograph the birds. And we had certain birds that were friends of ours. The little Oliver, the little gosling that was a late bloomer, that we watched him grow up. All his brothers and sisters were already grown, and he was a latecomer. And Ellie had me photograph her numerous times when we were down there. And I find that these are all messages now that I think she knew she was dying. And she left me with these bright, smiling pictures. And she was also very moved by death. Like you say, her career skyrocketed in the 70s. From the beginning of the 70s, she was learning to weave. By the end of the 70s, she was a famous weaver. When museums and galleries showed her work, it was such an experience to be in a gallery surrounded by these giant tapestries and their colors and the warmth of them. There's this, they were as influential and effective to me as any exhibition I've ever seen. That just there's just something about them that just you have the warmth of the wool and the fiber, and then the subtleties of colors and the dancing, vibrant imagery. It's just was just a total experience to be surrounded by that. And when her father died at the end of the 70s in 1980, 81, in 1980, she stopped weaving suddenly. She no longer wanted to do these large commissions. She was just at the point where she could command a lucrative price, and she just wanted nothing more to do with it. She had a chance to get a piece in the White House. She had a chance to get a piece in the Davies Symphony Hall, and just, no, I'm not doing that. I'm Canadian. It's not my president. It's just, it's just, she needed to work more quickly. Weaving took on a large commission, be 16 hours a day, and you'd yield 2 or 3 inches at the end of the day across this wide expanse. And it's just and it's just, she needed to work faster, more quickly, because the imagery was coming so quickly. And she over the next couple of decades, so many strange images. She entered more and more into the dream world. And she was guided by many dream teachers. Robert Moss, one of the many. It's just and probably one of the more influential. It's just she. As I look at her paintings, there's so much hidden and secreted into them that she was actually seeing into another world. She was already on both sides of the coin. It's and it's such to have these pieces that they're spectacular small pieces that are just crammed full of so many enigmas and mysteries and bits of wonder, because she was actually able to see on the other side of the universe. That the palm tree was a very influential image in her work. And it was the first time I went to Florida, it was the palm tree. And the first time I came to California, the palm tree. And for Ellie, the palm tree became one of her on a separate road. She discovered the palm tree on her own. And it's just, and in Mexico, and we have 2 large palm trees outside our bedroom window that we planted them. We got them from the local garden shop when they were just like 12 feet tall, and now they're probably 30 feet tall or higher. It's just and she was able to see the moon and the stars through the leaves of the palm tree, and they one of her last pieces that has the moon actually on this side of the palm tree. How is this pink, magenta, vibrant moon able to be between her and the palm tree, between me and the palm tree? It's impossible. And yet, there it is. That and the sky is filled full of jewels. It's just the stars are little explosive snowflakes, but then there are all these jewels, the red and the green gems from another world. It's just it's a spectacular piece. It's like that line of light she's passed into this other dimension even before she was there. And when she did pass, it was so quickly. Robert Moss told her that she would immediately recognize, she would be greeted by so many people that she knows, that she'd already been to this place through her dreams so many times before, even dreams that she did not quite remember, that she, in all her dream work, she's already been to this other place. And she was, when she passed, boom, she was just gone. She didn't hang around for 3 days. And she also passed on the Easter weekend, Holy Thursday, and it was also Passover. So 2 big religious events. And there's a saying that if you die on during these times that you do have a very quick crossing into the other place. That's that she's normally a soul will be around. I knew that when I left the hospital that she would be back at the house before me because she was a cancer. This was her nest. But I was here, she's already been and gone. She just immediately crossed over into the other world. And that yeah, it's there's no way that she should have been passing before me because she was younger, 7 years younger. And but she had already completed everything that she needed to complete here. She with her tapestries, with the small paintings, with her looks into the other world, she had done everything that she needed to do. And her messages to people. She called up all of her friends before she left, and they didn't know she was saying goodbye. They had absolutely no idea she was saying goodbye, because she didn't. And they were just shocked after she passed. But that's the way she was. She didn't want sad people moping around her. And she left as much as possible, everything in order, because we knew for a year that she was struggling with this at times. We thought she could beat it. And at a certain point, I think she knew that she wasn't beating it, no matter how hard she tried. It was her time. Like they say, you only have so many days, and it was her time. And now I'm left to complete what I have to complete, because I don't feel that I've done everything I need to do. And these readings are part of that there's something in there. And if I'm able to release it with Sequoia's help, maybe it'll be a gift to somebody, or maybe simply a gift to ourselves. Maybe it's an awakening for Sequoia and for me. And hopefully in these times it will awaken something like a pebble thrown into a pond. Maybe it will awaken something in this world, that because we had a love affair, and if the love Ellie and I had can reach out, I'm working on an exhibition of her work and my work. I photographed the birds, and she painted and wove. And with the words and the photographs and the paintings, it's just so many of her paintings had a very primitive cave-like quality to it. And the title of the exhibition is Writing on the Cave Walls of the Heart. Writings on the Cave Walls of the Heart. And if the love and art of Ellie and Gerry. And hopefully these poems are a beginning of that. Perhaps a few of these words from the poems will join the art on the wall.
First, I am so sorry for your loss, and I know and have felt how important she has been in your life. And when you first told me of what had happened, it did touch me very deeply. And it just so much got opened, activated, like touched by your story, by just listening to you talk about it, all coming from the heart. And so, I do believe that you sharing your words and sharing is the activation of the heart that is needed right now. and you have such a beautiful way with words, and such a, like, your resonance in your voice has this way, this, like, this magic, this potency, this sacredness, this, like, healing to it. It is a summoning. And I've heard in the poems that you've shared today, this line of light moving through this healing to, through like the warrior spirit of the hawk, and how it wove through into the, you know, the last poems that you had spoken as well. There was this weaving of the words, the butterfly, the transformation, the change, the activation that comes from all of that. And, you know, the visual as well, with the palm tree, and, you know, the moon, and the sky with the colors, and the gems from another dimension that were there. There's just this potent transformative experience.
That's
Yeah,
the color of the sky at dusk too, is purple. Just as the sun goes down, there's this deep, deep purple.
I love writing on the cave walls. Is it of the heart? Writing
Yes.
on the cave walls of the heart. And I know when you first shared that with me and asked me about it, and I sat with it, but I know after kind of talking to you more, it hit like thunder. And I did feel it writing on the writing on the cave walls of the heart. It has like a power, and it remains, and it stays. And I think your story and everything you share gives it this energy, this that moves. It moved me to tears. It's touched me in a lot of ways. So I do thank you for being willing and vulnerable to share your process, to share the words, and to, you know, to meet me here in video, and to be willing to talk about these, because I know it's hard, and it's, you know, still very raw. And you know, but I hope that this is for you cathartic, and it is what the greater good, I hope the greater good receives that activation as well, and what it needs. But I hope as well that it is allows you to have a
It's
platform.
all about waking. It's just there's a tendency to coast, and it's this is not a time to coast. Even though you one reaches a certain point where you think that you deserve a few peaceful years, it's just no, it's time to move forward. And it's just Ellie's later work was just filled with hearts. There are hearts everywhere, and the word love is scrawled through it. And she did this writing which goes beyond sense, where it's there are words that kind of they're there for line and shape and form, and they just kind of disappear into the painting, and suddenly, you know, pieces pop out, and they're and they just kind of strike. It's just oh, there's a very mysterious piece that just says, how can you love someone who's so, and that just kind of disappears, and then if you look far enough, you know, suddenly there's some meaning that you can decipher out of it. So the painting itself speaks, but there are words kind of encoded and hidden in there that so much of her life was just about love, and her friends knew this. They just and she had a love and a wisdom and a kindness that just and a strength, just incredible strength. And she used to know to teach in here, and she's always quiet. She's just always like a whisper, but people were just amazed at how this very quiet person who just spoke in a whisper just suddenly was able to command an audience, and she could because she was strong. She was strong. I see that you're surrounded by purple front and behind you and in front of you, and just
This is not my art. This is the artwork of Izzy Ivy, and she's a really amazing artist and has like an oracle deck that I work with.
it's important to surround ourselves with other people's work, because otherwise it's there's a tendency for some artists to surround themselves with only their own work.
As we bring this container forward, feel into the transformation that is upon us. So we're talking about the energy of weaving. We're talking about the energy of transformation. We're talking about the energy of awakening, of waking up. It's time to do our work. Like Raven said, this is not the time to coast. This is the time to show up, be seen, do our work, and to, step forward in that powerful way. So I'd like us to feel into, on this moon, what is being illuminated, what is being reflected to us, because what we see is a reflection of what we're giving out. Feel into what is being revealed, what is transforming in our life, and what is calling us forward into the next level of our expression. And with that, I'm going to give it over to G. Raven Traucht to see us out to the end.
So this poem that I wish to end with is leads to the unawaited dance. This is called The Restaurant. They came to eat salad, knowing there was an answer. Azure and amethyst, smell of venison. Each bite slowly, their own fingers only. No fork or Chinese stick. They eat in Arabic. No emotion, laughter, or redress, fatal to the esophagus. Salad only, dark green leaves. They are not waiting. They are eating salad. The moment passes. He a cigarette. She lights the match. Amazing, a table between. Amazing, a salad only dark green. Amazing the colors, smell of deer. He smokes. Strange scents, stranger than venison. The unawaited dance begins.
And I thank everyone for watching. Thank you, Raven. Thank you, G. Raven Traucht, for sharing your words.
Okay, thank you, Sequoia. It's just it's been an honor, and it's been a very good day. I'm going to go up to the campus and find that old olive tree.
Excellent.